Welcome, podcast fans. It's time for the What's Up Bro podcast show presented by j&j Production Studios, the home for all your entertainment needs. All kinds of great topics discussed every week, a variety of different themes offered, special guest appearances, prize giveaways, and so much more. Stay tuned. And now, here are your hosts, Sam Crow and Big Hoss.
Well, hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the What's Up Bro podcast show, brought to you, of course, exclusively by the one and only j&j Production Studios, your one true home for entertainment. We have a very special episode for you guys. This has been pre-recorded. You will likely be listening to this. We will launch it. It's probably right now, Friday night, August the 2nd. This was recorded Sunday, the 28th of July. And again, we always accommodate schedules when we have special guests joining us. And that's what we do, but it's going to be really exciting for you guys. It's been a minute, it's been a little while, but we finally have, the stars have lined up, schedules worked out. He's not new, he's been here before. If you're newer, though, you might not know him, but let's welcome back to the table. You all know him and love him, our good friend from Impulse Martial Arts, Ramsey Veitch. Ramsey, good evening, thank you for being here.
Hello, Justin, thank you very much for having me again.
Of course. It's been a long time coming, we've been wanting to do this, and we definitely have a... I said to Ramsey off camera here, or offline, we were going to do this. We have a doozy for an episode tonight, which we're going to give you those juicy details in a second. But just want to give you guys a couple quick updates. Just for reminders, we're going to do this too. Check out if you missed it. The past episode we did my birthday bash episode. That's available now if you want to listen to it. That's up. Check it out. Linktree.com/J_J Production Studios. All of the podcast streaming services where our shows can be found, you can listen to, as well as our YouTube channel. And, I beg your pardon, excuse me, I'm still celebrating my leftover from the other night. Check out j&jproductionstudios.com, the official website. You can listen to episodes there as well. And speaking of Impulse there, if you guys didn't see, we've added, if you go to the official studio store, you can now get your own Impulse merchandise that's there, since their affiliation here with the show, as well as the Sanitarium show and other features that we now offer here at the studio. I think the last time, actually, if my memory serves, I think it was probably around last fall, I think, when we did the last episode, maybe last summer. It's been a little bit. So we're going to get into some fun stuff. I'm just trying to think. Oh, there was an announcement. I knew I forgot that. Keep your ears and eyes open. We're going to be posting this throughout the week. We're still waiting for confirmation. We do have our special celebrity guest that's lined up for this year. I'm still waiting for confirmation to get a definite time and date to be determined. We will let you guys know. Really excited for that. Hope you guys are equally as excited. We will spill the beans who that is when we get an official time and date, and we are definitely clear. But it seems like all signs and systems are a go. Just waiting for the final word there. Also, too, which, again, if you're listening to this Friday, it won't matter, but hopefully you guys all signed up. Make sure you have listened to this coming Thursday night, August 1st, we will be back. I will be back at least, maybe with Big Hoss. We're going to be on the Pod Squad podcast. You can watch it on YouTube. We'll be live there. Karaoke night. We're going to have fun. Make sure you guys check it out. Hopefully you did. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait. And hopefully you all signed up and sang along with us, because I'm sure it's going to be awesome, and we can all humiliate and embarrass ourselves all together. So that's out there as well. Yeah, I think that's it, actually. So let's dispense with the rest. Let's jump in here. So this is going to be a fun topic tonight. Why is that, you may ask? Well, thank you for asking. I'm going to tell you that. I thought about this. I actually had an idea for this next episode, but most recently, probably within, maybe when did you write that? Or talk about that? Probably the last month or so. So Ramsey kind of set the world ablaze a little bit, or at least in our little martial arts community, of some implementing changes that he discovered, which we're going to pick his brain because we're curious to hear. And again, I've heard a lot of this, but for you guys to get some tips and tricks and wisdom on insights, we want to pick this apart a little deeper. So now some of you might train before, maybe you haven't trained. So in a lot of regular martial arts, they have what's known as kata, which katas are, and most of you guys probably have watched Cobra Kai, you're probably familiar with that anyway, but just to put it in short, are premeditated, predetermined movements. You can do single person, which by yourself, or sometimes in certain arts with partners you can train. But it's sort of almost like I guess you could say choreographed and almost like dances in a way, like when you kind of preset everything there. Um, and so Ramsey had shared recently, and we're gonna set the stage here and let Ramsey take it from there then, because I wanna pose this question too to get started. But had some thoughts about why kata does not seem to be quite as important. What? I know you're probably all sitting there going, "Wait a minute! Before, don't turn it off. Don't turn the episode off. Hear it out. We want to investigate. That's part of the job here. We want to find out why." So, but that stirred a lot of controversy within our own group. And so for this episode, I wanted to put it out there and let Ramsey try to explain yourself. Explain yourself, sir. Defend yourself here.
Ooh,
And if there's any hate comments, I'll give you his address and email and all that stuff, and maybe phone number later if you want to call and leave hate comments. So
beautiful.
yeah. So let's start off with this. Let's go here. And now again, I'm gonna pretend like I'm just setting this for as an average listener that was not there and been part of this conversation. So first of all, to start this off, Ramsey, how did you come up with this idea, which led to the blog, which I will share later on? We're going to put that in the link for that on the Impulse website if you guys want to read it for yourself. How did you begin to contemplate, think about, translate, and determine this theory about what you have about kata and what exactly that is? Would you like to share with everybody?
Sure. So, most of this is on the blog, but I'm gonna give you a good summary throughout this podcast. Essentially, I've been doing martial arts for over 20 years, and I've done many katas. I've learned old time katas from God knows where they come from, and I've learned katas made up by newer teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been exposed to kata via martial arts books or when I was a kid, TV, all that good stuff.
Yep.
And so I looked into it more, and I started contemplating how important is kata to me as a martial artist.
Big question.
How is it to me as a skill developer?
Mm-hmm.
And what is the ultimate purpose of kata? So the first thing I did was just kind of look into it to the extent of like, where's kata come from? And although I knew where it came from, I didn't really know. So
Right.
I always do my homework before I just start making decisions, right?
That's good to know. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I looked into it, and a majority of it, stems from Eastern Asia, Southeast Asia, China, Japan, all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And if you notice, there's not a lot of katas from other parts of the world, from like, Western boxing to fencing to stuff like that. At least as far as I know, there aren't katas involved with that. So I really just took an interpersonal look at it and said, well, you know what? I have dozens of katas. I've learned empty hand katas. I've learned weapons katas and all that good stuff. But what did I get out of it? And ultimately, spoiler alert, I felt like I didn't get as much as I could have had I used the time and energy and resources that it took to remember and to practice those katas and just practiced the principles and the information you're supposed to learn from katas in regular class and get that directly translated to me from the teacher. And if anybody knows what kata is personally because they've learned it or they have a teacher that uses it for training, then they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I am not the voice of martial arts, and I study martial arts that have no katas, and I study martial arts that do have katas. So I just kind of gathered this evidence for myself and made this decision that ultimately I'd rather just learn the information that's within a kata, and then go and then just be done with it that way. Essentially, we do it all the time, anyways. We just don't. I don't think anybody realizes it.
Yeah, it's not as fixated as like when you're saying, okay, here we go, step 1, step 2, step 3. You're just naturally like moving and doing stuff without calculating the moves, and kind of like I know we talked recently too about we did open like the practice of just practice movement and doing things, which essentially could be kata based. There's just no like you have to move this way. That it was move freely and flow, and don't necessarily go super fast, but move what's comfortable. So you kind of see where that kind of does translate to more of the less choreographed version to more practicals of focus on just feeling comfortable moving and not necessarily step by step guides of I have to make this move here. If I mess up this step is off. I skipped step 2 and 4, that sort of thing. So that does make sense from that standpoint if you look at it.
Right. So, I mean, so I kind of went into, well, what makes up a kata, and why do people cherish them so much? Why do
Yeah.
people? I equate them to a gospel, right?
Mm-hmm.
People learn religion,
Yep.
and they say, "Oh, this is the gospel," meaning I'm going to follow everything that's in it, right? And some people look at instructors, some people look at katas, some people look at martial arts as if they're the gospel
Yeah.
of the martial arts world,
Truth.
and I promise you, no martial artist,
Mm-mm.
no writings, no
Nope.
nothing of the gospel.
Nope.
They can and will change,
Yep.
and they should change. They should be
Oh,
evolutionized.
definitely. Yeah.
Yep. So I write intensely about a lot of this stuff so that everybody can have the different viewpoints. It's not a simple conversation of,
Mm-mm.
hey, do you like kata? Do you feel like you're learning anything from it? Yes. Okay. Why? That's
Right.
that's a pretty quick conversation. But then when you say no, people are gonna ask, well, why? And now you have to go into this whole long list, and that's what
Yep.
I did. Okay,
Yep.
I explain myself, and I explain the the concept of kata as I see it, and
Literally,
as other
literally,
people see
folks.
it.
Yeah, literally, folks.
Right.
If you read this blog, you will see it's not a short read. It's make sure you have a cup of coffee, sit back, and make sure you have a good chunk of time to read it. So
Yeah,
I
If
can
you if
definitely
you
attest
want
to
to
that.
yeah if you want to learn a viewpoint on kata that you might not have ever heard before, then you want to read the whole thing because it's not just black and white.
No.
There's a lot of gray. And one of the first things I say in the beginning is, this is my interpretation and my
Disclaimer.
viewpoint on kata,
Yep.
and I am here to give you as much evidence and opinion as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys can make your own decision.
Yeah.
I don't care if you want to do
No.
kata.
Stay
If
open
you think
minded though.
kata is,
That's yeah.
yeah, if you think kata is the best thing in the world, by all means, go for it. I do not care. I'm not going to disrespect you as a martial artist. I'm totally fine with it. I'm just letting you guys know
Yeah.
that I've I've done the research. I've done the time. I've been doing this for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and I see less benefit in it than it's known for.
Right.
So, so with that said, um, I I would love, without talking about the entire blog on this and wasting our time too much, some of the prime points are, and a lot of this came up, by the way, because you asked about the origin of why
Right.
I started thinking this way.
Just to
You know,
establish
I, I
yeah
had
background. Mm-hmm.
I always, I always watch, I live martial arts, so I'm always watching
Mm-hmm.
martial arts online and
Yep.
stuff. And somebody was doing a kata. I think I had commented on it, and then I got some rebuttal to it.
I see.
So, and I just started thinking, like, why do these people freaking care so much?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it like, and then they start getting like narrow-minded and,
Right.
oh, well, this and that, and, well, you know, well, what style do you do? Like, people care too much about all this
Yep.
stuff, as if it matters.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay. And so I really started to deep dive and saying, like, you know what? This doesn't matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's some of the main points, without having it in front of me anymore. But
I have it here if you
you
need
know,
footnotes. It's right here. So just in
no, no,
case.
no, I definitely don't. I definitely don't. Um, uh, you know, when somebody says they do kata, I go, great. But then I say, well, which katas do you do? Oh, well, in the magical sword arts that we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Iaido or Kendo or
Yep.
whatever
Yep.
people want to do with the samurai sword from Japan. Iaido being the most notable one.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wants to do Iaido, there's like 12 katas that they have to do. It's like there's like 12 forms that are like official.
Yep.
Maybe there's more, maybe there's less. I don't know, right?
Just
But
what's
then you
there.
start to what? Then what you should be doing is questioning. Okay, well, who determined that these 12 katas are quote unquote the gospel?
Mm-hmm.
Who determined
Fair
which
point.
ones were there more than 12 katas in the beginning?
Could have
Who
been.
made up the katas?
Yep.
At what point were they all made up at the same time by the same person? Were they made up by different people?
Over
Who
a course
were
of
the
time. Yep.
judges? Who
Mm-hmm.
were the judges that allowed and kind of elected these katas to become the gospel and to be carried on? It has to be done exactly, so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Who who makes all these decisions over the past, 4, 5, 6, 1,000 years? Who does that, right?
Right. Yep.
And so when we look at the credibility of things, just like in my blogs about ranking systems
Mm-hmm.
and lineage, when you really just sit down and think about it, what's important, where it came from or what it is,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And, nobody goes to a car lot and buys a car and says, yeah, but what country was it made in? Okay?
Yeah.
Because if you care about what country it came in,
Yep.
right, you're probably against that country for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but I promise you, you're not going. If you're going to a Mercedes car lot, you already know they come from freaking Germany or wherever they, right. If
Right.
you're going to a Hyundai parking lot, you already know that they're coming from Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really cares. They really
Yep.
just care about the car. Otherwise, they
Exactly.
wouldn't be there. They wanted
Well, yeah.
American-made cars. They would go to they would go to get a Ford or a Chevy. As
Yeah.
simple as that.
Simple.
Right?
Yep.
But what matters is the car. They care about their car quality.
Yep.
Okay, you put out poor quality of a car from Japan or Australia or Germany,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then they're not going to want it anymore.
Nope.
Okay, so we have this mentality of Japan being, or the the Eastern martial arts being so particular and just perfect for some, I don't know, for some reason. Like that's the energy you get. And realistically, like it's not all that it's cracked up to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just martial arts. It's punching, kicking, grappling. It is what it is. Yeah, that's where a lot of them really stem from. Great, historically awesome.
Yep.
Nobody, but really, what's more important? The information. So if you met me on the street and you said, Ramsey, teach me everything you know about martial arts,
Yep.
and I did, right?
Yep.
And then at the very end, I say, oh, by the way, these are all Japanese martial arts. Are you gonna go, oh, I can't believe it. I don't want to do Japanese martial arts. Those are stupid.
Yep.
No, you're not going to do that, right?
Yep.
Because the information is way more important than where it came from, right?
For sure.
Of course, naturally, as long as I'm giving you subjectively and objectively quality information,
Yeah, that's
right?
the main thing.
Then
Yep.
then of course it matters. But again, even if you're going to Japan and you're getting information, but it's not good,
Yeah.
then then you don't think you'll go to Japan anymore for information, right?
Yeah.
You might become biased.
Very true.
So the history of it, and the context is super what's the non-credible? I don't even know what the word is.
Yeah.
I'm horrible at English, but yeah, I don't want to say incredible because it's not incredible. But anyways, you can't. It's hard to justify where these came from.
Right.
And at what point in time did we stop making more katas and say, you know what, these
Yeah.
are the only 12 we need,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So, in the end, you're like, okay, so I have these 12 katas, fantastic, right?
Mhm.
What are there any more? Well, no, that's it. You're done. Well,
Yeah.
why not? You're telling me these 12 katas teach you everything you need to know about the martial art?
Mm-hmm.
I bet not.
Nope.
Um,
For sure.
I've learned katas that aren't in the mainstream martial arts.
Oh, I
Okay,
bet. Yeah.
meaning like there's there's specific martial arts that are like Kodokan and Ishinryu, and the big names, right? The ones that have really made their mark on Japanese or Eastern martial arts, Wing Chun, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
But what about me learning a martial art kata from a quote unquote samurai family from a different island, from a different time period,
True.
and I say, you know what? Do you guys know Kata Mawari? I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna be like, no. Well, it comes from the Yamada family from Okinawa, circa 1556. Oh, that's a bunch of crap, yo, blah, 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 right? And now you're gonna have people going, well, if I never heard of it, and if it's not part of these mainstreams, then it's not valid. That's
Mm-hmm.
also an argument you get. So now people are fighting over validity of katas, and I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
why do people waste their time? If I give you a kata, I don't care if I made it up or some guy made it up 1,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What does it matter?
Yeah.
The kata teaches you something. That's all that matters, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So then I looked into, well, what does the kata teach you? And there's a whole bunch of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are like, well, there are all these hidden techniques. There's these, it's to teach you good form, and you have to practice it perfectly, and
Right.
it's to pass down the martial art and immortalize it because they didn't have reading and writing back then because they were illiterate. They had to pass it down through song and dance essentially, and I call bullshit on that. I call complete bullshit on that because while they may, right? I wasn't alive in 1600. I have no idea what they did.
Yeah, I
But
wasn't either, so I don't know. Yeah.
while some people may have used kata to pass down a martial art,
Mm-hmm.
there's no kata or sets of katas in any martial art that can possibly, or that do currently, that I'm aware of, encompass every single principle and concept and technique that could occur. Here's an example. In jujitsu, right? Just in classical Japanese jujitsu,
Mm-hmm.
I have a list of just like 125 basic technique, right?
Yep.
Not even the variations of such, just
Yep.
basic everyday techniques,
Standard.
right? Throws and joint locks and
Mm-hmm.
holds and all that stuff, right? Positions, all this just super standardized basic stuff that you need to build your repertoire.
Yep.
And you could do all the karate kata, all the whatever kata you want. I guarantee you're not going to find these techniques in there,
Mm-mm.
right?
Nope.
And then you get the argument of, well, that's because they're hidden. And then I go, well, okay, that's fine. And this is what really pissed me off. This was kind of like the straw that bent on me, and I can't suck out my drink, right?
Yep.
And I've been hearing this since day one. Hidden techniques. They're there. You just have to find them. You have to discover them. We have to show them to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you actually see people actually doing it today, right? I get it across my feed all the time, and people are like, "Oh, look at this karate kata," and then below they'll show a video of a jujitsu throw or a judo throw,
Mm-hmm.
right? That may look similar, and that's the problem. It doesn't, right?
Yeah.
So if you were going to pass down information about a martial art,
Yeah.
and so I would say, hey, look, here's a book with everything you need to know about martial arts, just for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or here, even better, how about this? Here's a video of everything you need to know about martial arts.
Right here.
And all you got to do is just study it and practice it and do it.
Watch
and
it 1,000
you'll learn
times.
Yep.
Yep.
And do it with a partner, everything.
Yep.
You'll learn everything you need to know. You don't even need me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what they were doing. They were teaching the katas, and then boom, right?
Yep.
But then I gave it to you, but the words were all scrambled,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No. Trust me, it's in there. It's in there.
You just gotta find it.
You just have to. You have to find it. You have to decode it, right? Now you have to play anagram with it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to teach you how to do anagrams so you can figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes down to it, that's why I said, instead of me getting a kata day one and then 5 years later figuring it out and understanding it, right? And some people say, I'm still figuring this out till today. I've been doing this for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, you've been wasting your time.
Yep.
So instead, I could do a kata for my students, right? Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5 or 6 moves. It's 10 moves, whatever it is, right? But here's the possible scenario for each one,
Yep.
right? Look, maybe the person's doing this or this or this, so we respond like this.
Yeah.
Here's the context of the kata as I view it,
Mhm.
okay? And then I pass it down to my students. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to give that same context to somebody else, right?
Right. Yep.
Eventually, eventually we have this whisper down the alley effect. And over 400 years,
Lost in
do you really think
translation.
that do you really think that kata is the same?
No, there's
Do you
lost in
think it's
translation.
either
Yep.
yeah, do you think it's either performed the same, or do you even think it was it's being
No.
translated the same, especially with martial arts
Yeah.
world today where we're exposed to everything. There's no more secrets,
If
right?
anything, it's probably
And
weaker. So yeah, that's
yeah, exactly. And with every martial art out, everybody knows a lot of everything. Nobody's just, one master, one
oh
martial art.
yeah, no,
Everybody
no,
everybody has access to everything,
for
right?
sure.
So we're
Yeah.
seeing this stuff so much differently. And but the idiocracy that somebody can say, um, "Hey, I learned a kata that's 400 years old." Well, prove to me that that kata is exactly the way it was 400 years
A year
ago.
ago. Yeah.
And not to mention, I'm a martial artist. I've
Yep.
made up my own katas before, right? And I can
Yep.
touch on that a little bit later, right?
Hmm.
Does that mean my katas are invalid because they weren't made 400 years ago? At
Fair
what
point.
point in time, at what point in time are people not allowed to make katas anymore
Yeah.
for them to
Yeah.
be legitimate, right?
Hmm.
So if I made up a kata, right? And let's just pretend I'm really, really good at what I do. Um, who's to say that that kata is not worth jack?
Yeah.
When I see a lot of katas that aren't worth jack, and I promise you, right?
They're out
Now,
there. Yeah.
katas have their place,
They do.
but they're not the gospel. And
No.
instead of going over the kata and figuring things out and waiting for somebody to give you answers and all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
What you should be doing is saying, "Hey, look, we're gonna go over this kata today. Boom, boom, boom." Right? The students can write it down and memorize it all they want.
Right. Fair.
Okay,
Yep. You can
and
do it.
then you can say, "Look, here's what we're learning from the kata. Here's some points and principles that I want to point out." That way, when you are practicing it, if you decide to practice this, you know what you're doing, so you can do
Exactly.
them properly. And that's
Yep.
what pisses me off about kata is with hidden techniques and with techniques that can be used for multiple things, right?
Hmm. Yep.
The arm punches and then it waves in a circle and then it kind of does another big wave over the head and then you
Hmm.
lift the foot. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, right?
Right.
But then you put that next to like if you come to the dojo and we do a jujitsu throw, right?
Hmm.
They look nothing the same.
Right.
Not even close. So
Mm-mm.
so my argument is, well, it's good for punching and kicking. Those look really good in katas, right?
Yep.
So you can learn punch and kick really well in a kata, right? But but when it comes to throws and grappling and response times and distancing and all that stuff, you're forced to use your imagination.
Hmm.
And not to mention, because you're doing the kata so quote unquote properly, you're not doing the techniques
Right.
properly. So if you've ever done a shoulder throw, ippon seonage, or
Yep.
one-arm shoulder throw, or hip throw of any sort,
Hmm.
you'll see that no katas do them exactly the
Nope.
way you're supposed to do them.
Yep.
Because if you do them in the way the kata says, I guarantee you it will not work.
Mm-mm.
And I'm willing to prove that to anybody who wants to come on out and try it.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not doing it, if you're not doing a technique the way it's meant to be done in real time, even if you're doing it to the air,
Yeah.
then
Yep.
you're not practicing and you're not learning anything and you're just playing pretend.
Yeah.
And that's no good. And that's no good. And I'm not here to dog people, right? I'm
Mhm.
just saying how it is. You are
Yeah.
literally playing pretend. Instead of punching the air and blocking the air, okay, using your imagination, which again, you could benefit from it, all right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking like fitness and strength, endurance, right? You can get benefit out
Yeah.
of fighting the air.
But
And I'm an
not so much
advocate
not
for
so much of a regular opponent. Like it's not going to be practical, like a memory of, what do you do if you have like a confrontation? Like that's good for the exercise, but it's different when you have like the moving target scenario. Or there's somebody there. Like that's a totally different.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do like so if you do if you pick two people like a set of twins, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you took a set of twins who were both into martial arts and I said, "Look, you like twin number 1, he does a kata for a whole year. That's all he does, just one kata for a whole year."
Mm-hmm.
Then the other guy spars with somebody for a whole year.
Right.
And then those two twins got into a ring. Who do you
Mm-hmm.
think's going to win? I guarantee you, it's not going to be Mr. Kata, and that kind of validates my whole point,
Right.
right? I mean, you can learn, but not as well as if you spent your time elsewhere.
Yeah.
Kata is purely supplemental,
Hmm.
and I think if you're going to do kata, you should be doing it later in your training, not earlier,
Right.
because you need that mental focus. You need that all the memorization you have to do, right? All those tweakings and stuff. You
Right.
can do that in class during regular sessions,
Oh yeah.
right? Hey, class, today we're going to do this. You can just give them a part of the kata, right? Let's really get this down because I want to show you why
Hmm.
and how these operate in real time and practicality and this, that, right? And make the class focused on those points,
Yep.
instead of just giving them this open book that's with scrambled letters
There's too
and they
much.
don't really
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
What
they
to
don't know
do?
they don't know what they're doing. They just know that they're doing it
Yeah.
right, but they don't know what they're doing. They have no
Well, and
idea what.
it's kind of like too when, and I know one of the other points the bullet points we can add in there. Part of this was, and you talk about the lineage of the kata. The katas themselves, especially in a 21st century saying, we talked. This is one of the things we talked about too. Was like, for example, defense against sword attacks. Okay, which obviously during the samurai era, during the feudal times in Japan, was practical then. But that was back in the 1600s. Obviously, especially in our Western culture in the U.S., how many times do we get attacked by a sword there? So, the relevancy too of there's no practical sense of these were designed for a different era that does not exist anymore. So you could also say, for lack of a better term, it's no disrespect to them, but they don't really make much sense. And again, we don't even live in the Orient; we're living in the West, which we don't see that anyway. So there's like that sense of that doesn't really hold any truth to what you could potentially be dealing with on the street like today.
Right. The context of our times
Yep.
is, it's important, and I speak to context because obviously the when some of these katas were made up, they were made up in a time where swords reigned supreme, right? There
Yep.
weren't firearms.
Nope.
There wasn't the martial arts and knowledge that we have
Specifics.
today around the
Yep.
world, right? There were more chances of being caught in a battlefield,
Mm-hmm.
right? So katas make more sense
In that standpoint.
because because they wanted to learn certain things,
Yeah.
whatever, right? But just especially today, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see it as a good use of the time
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to training practical skills.
Especially when time is
It's
so
only
precious
good.
too. So you have to
It,
focus
yeah,
on something.
it's right. It's only good for people who want to work on memorizing something or
Right.
focusing on stamina and stuff, right?
Expanding their
But every
vocabulary and
yeah,
yep.
everything you can learn in kata, you can learn with a partner,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yeah.
But everything you learn with a partner, you can't learn from kata.
Right. Fair
So I'd
points.
rather just learn from a partner. And if you don't have a partner, that's fine. Do certain movements, right? So if you saw me do a kata
Mm-hmm.
that had punches, blocks, and throws,
Yep.
it's going to look a lot different than these karate katas we see
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you look at samurai sword katas from Iaido or whatever, right? Those 12 katas I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right? They are so lame. And I say that with the utmost enthusiasm.
Yep.
They are so lame. They're like one or two moves each. They, and again, I'm trying not to disrespect Iaido practitioners, because they do it for a different reason. They're not doing it for practicality, that's for sure.
Well, yeah.
They're-
Yep.
but it's far from practical.
Yeah.
Far
To
from
be honest.
practical, and the audacity some of these people have.
Oh, we did lose. I was trying to time it, so let's put a pause there really quick. That's the unfortunate thing is we are so. Hopefully, one day we are going to get this adjusted. Let's let Ramsey know here. Where did he go? I just want to message him. Uh-huh. Uh, but yeah, hopefully we'll adjust that one day. But some good information so far for you guys. We're gonna dive into this more in a little bit. We'll get Ramsey back in. We're going to get recalibrated, resituated. I will say, just from what we've been talking about so far, and again, if you guys have questions too, by all means, reach out, let us know. We can also put you in touch, and you can check things out. We are going to link the blog, the specific blog that Ramsey is referring to and talking about. We will tag that in the episode itself. We'll add that, like when we have it up on the YouTube channel, we can put that there as well. You guys can read it for yourselves, formulate your own opinions. If you guys train regularly, and if you have been doing katas, and again, we're not saying it's to be offensive to people, and it's just some ideas to think about, because I think a lot of times, like Ramsey said, which is a good point, and I wanted to mention that as well, the focal and the focus is entirely different. People have different reasonings and different excuses for why they think about or don't think about certain things, so we're just kind of picking it apart to help you guys challenge yourselves to be better, well-rounded martial artists, and to just question things in general, to say, does this make sense? Is it practical? Is it not? You have to determine that for yourself. So that's kind of what we're diving into. But we're going to get into plenty more of that in just a moment. I hope you guys are enjoying this. And again, this is great stuff. This is a perfect topic there, some food for thought. And hopefully it'll give you guys an opportunity to explore and share this information with others. It's very important. As we said, sharing the martial arts training, learning that, is vitally important that we pass it along for future generations, and that we try to keep these alive and show the importance of that there as well. So stick around. We'll be right back. We're going to play a little commercial break. We'll come back for more, diving back into the martial arts world with Ramsey Veitch at Impulse Martial Arts. Hope you guys are learning a lot. Looking forward to so much more. Hope this is going to be great entertainment for you guys. Extra special surprise for you. Stick around. Perfect time for a restroom break, or if you need to get a snack, whatever you want to do. Come on back then. We're going to chat more with Ramsey right after this. Stay tuned. Do not go away. You don't want to miss what's coming up next.
Hey there! Enjoying the show? Do you want even more great content? Then check out linktree.com/J_J Production Studios, where you'll find everything you need for the entertainment you deserve, such as links to your favorite streaming services where our podcast shows are featured. Find and connect with us on your favorite social media and live streaming platforms. The official studio channel on YouTube. Like and subscribe today. Our official studio store where you can find all kinds of great merchandise. Would you like to support us? You can do so by getting your own exclusive membership on our Patreon account. Do you want to ensure you don't miss a single bit of detailed information? Then have it sent directly to you by joining our emailing list. Stay up to date on all the latest from j&j Production Studios. Thank you so much for listening. We love and appreciate all your support, and until next time, we'll see you at the show.
We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned.
Hey there, do you love podcasts? Are you having difficulty finding the right ones to listen to? Is it frustrating when you're trying to pick that show? You know, the one where everyone must collectively agree on? Like finding a good movie or TV show to watch, do you look for the most jam-packed entertainment that's possible to find in a single episode every week? Then search no more, and welcome to j&j Production Studios. It's our business to provide the best entertainment and information available for you. Whether you're sitting in that comfy chair with your favorite snack and beverage listening live each week, or downloading your favorite show episodes to take with you on the go while you're at work, exercising, or even just to play at night for you to fall asleep to. There's something for everyone, no matter what size, shape, or age you are. Visit www.linktree.com/J_J Production Studios to find all the streaming services where our podcast shows can be found. You can also connect with us on your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook and Twitter. You can join our public Discord server and chat directly with us. But wait, there's more. You can subscribe to our official YouTube channel and be notified every time a new show is broadcast. Wish you could have some studio souvenirs or collectibles? Guess what? You can. Visit the official store where you can purchase items featuring your favorite podcast and show hosts. Would you like to help support us? You can do that by getting your very own exclusive membership on our Patreon account. All proceeds go to help us upgrade our shows, which will only enhance the entertainment provided to you. Thank you so much. We're excited to have you as an audience. Your love and support are always appreciated. We'll see you soon.
Break time is over. We're so glad you stayed tuned. Now back to the action as the show is set to resume.
All right, welcome back, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out there. If you're catching this episode midstream, welcome. This is the What's Up Bro podcast show, brought to you, of course, by the one and only J&J Production Studios, your one true home for entertainment. We got interrupted. Our time ran off. We're going to have to try to eventually upgrade this. But we have our special guest joining us, an old friend who hasn't been on for a while. We're glad to have him back. Ramsey Veitch of Impulse Martial Arts. Tonight's topic we are talking about is Kata. Ramsey is sharing some insights about some things that he's discovered. We're delving into that a little bit and trying to, again, just give some bullet points and things. Not necessarily anything that's verbatim by the gospel, that you'll take his word for it, as he said earlier, but we're just kind of covering a bunch of things. Let's see, I think we got it. I was trying to send it, but I had to juggle. There we go. Yeah, I had to juggle to make sure I didn't miss the cue and start playing a whole bunch of different songs at the same time. So yeah, apologies there. So we got interrupted, but just there's the quick recap before the break. And again, if you're just tuning in here, just want to catch up where we're at. So we're kind of talking about this, and I kind of want to just look at this in a little bit more light if you want to share some more stuff here. But and I'm trying to think how to phrase this question specifically, because we kind of touched a little bit about it, but maybe the question to ask is this, to kind of elaborate a little bit more. In your professional opinion, and again, we say how there's different arts that do focus on using katas, and it seems to be a strong focal point for training curriculum for whatever reason. And what do you think, if you've given any thought to this, why do you think there are some schools or some systems out there that really push the kata, train it so hard? No, I mean, obviously there's the easy one, it's tradition, they got to do that, but do you personally think that there's a lot of systems or arts that they feel like the kata really is beneficial, as opposed to, like, we talk about practically, like, working the techniques, working the stuff that really is the meat of the curricula, if you will? What are some of those things that you maybe you've encountered? I'm not sure, but what do you feel like, why there's some places that do push katas and they try to emphasize it's so important to teach students?
Right. That's a great question, and I'm going to answer it with the evolution of martial arts.
Yeah, by all means.
Yeah, the martial arts are meant to evolve. As long as humans have been fighting, they've been developing martial skills that can be used to subdue or kill or handle or injure or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. To win fights,
right? To
protect themselves. At what point in time do we turn these into the term martial arts? Well, whenever they wanted to. I don't know. Nobody really knows. Nobody really
no
cares,
right or wrong,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just semantics. Nobody really cares, right? But at one point in time, somebody saw it as beneficial, and some people, they just believe and they follow everything that they're taught. And they say, you know what? My teacher is so good. I respect my teacher. They're very skillful and knowledgeable in everything. Mm-hmm. If I want to learn what they learned, I should learn what they learned. That's their theory. That's what they think. Yeah. I'm going to relate this, and just to throw it out there, none of this is meant to sway anybody one way or another. I don't care if you do kata. I don't care if you don't do kata.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that here's information. Here's a different perspective, potentially.
To think about a little bit more,
And if you want to make your own decision, great.
Yeah,
if you want to keep doing them, that's fine. All I'm saying is that if you do them differently, if you focus on them differently, you'll learn better. Yeah. And you'll learn faster. True. And you'll learn, and you'll just be more skillful, and you'll get better attributes.
Yeah.
Overall, that's my professional opinion.
Right.
So, do I think that so relating it to religion, right? Some people are born into religion.
Yeah.
And till they die, they're just obsessed with that religion, right?
Yep.
Because they're just surrounded by it, and they just honestly believe that that is the religion that should be.
That's all they know too. That's all they've learned and experienced. Yep.
Yeah. So now with the modern age,
Mm-hmm.
it's less and less likely that if you
Game
put your
changer.
child into a world of, let's say, Christianity, that they might change their mind as they grow,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're going to be exposed to atheism. They're going to be exposed to viewpoints of many other religions,
Mm-hmm.
even within their own basis of Christianity. They're going to come across different viewpoints of that same religion, and they're going to have to go through that path. And that's what I do as a martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I learned from a specific teacher in a specific style in a specific culture, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I outgrew my instructor. I outgrew that culture because I'm not a huge fan of anybody saying we do this just because that's the way we've always done it.
Yep.
Right? If everybody always did that with everything they did in life, we'd still be living in the frickin' 1400s.
Yep. Stone Age. Yep.
You know what I mean? anytime you answer a question, well, that's just the way it is. That's just the way we do it. Shut up! You don't know jack
Exactly.
shit.
Yep.
If you can't evolve a martial art, make it your own. If you can't add to it,
Mm-hmm.
if you're afraid to take away, right? If you're not afraid to give, but you're afraid to take away,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then that just means you're not looking at everything properly.
No.
Not everything we do today, just because somebody did it in the past and it worked for them, doesn't mean it's beneficial.
Right.
Right? It doesn't mean it made an impact.
Yeah.
There's drills I see people doing in martial arts that are very highly respected,
Mm-hmm.
and I just personally think that there are 2-person katas to be specific, and they're just things that I'm like, well, while you can definitely gain skills and attributes in one area,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to hurt you in another area.
Yep.
You know, so
Yep.
it's a balance.
Absolutely.
So now at my current point in my life in training, that's not something I want to learn because I think it would be more. I think it would be more detrimental than beneficial to my style, to my
Mm-hmm.
to what I'm trying to do goal wise.
Yeah.
And it's a shame too because I'd like to learn it. It's flashy, it's cool, it's quick, and I think I can develop. But then I'm going to get locked in. Then I'm going to get locked into their style more,
Yeah.
and it's going to probably disrupt what I have going now. Not that I'm the best ever. It has nothing to do with that. It's just I like what I do now, and I want to continue doing what I do and expand from that. So instead of learning the martial art, I'm going to take little bits from it that I think might be helpful, right?
Right.
And that's what Bruce Lee did. And he was made famous for, essentially, was the development of Jeet Kune Do, which was to him the best of all the martial arts that worked for him for the most part.
Yep.
That he transposed down to his studentry and said, "Hey, look, guys, like these are the concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
But even the stuff that he teaches,
Yeah.
if he was alive today, he'd still say, you know what? I don't care what I taught you, right? If it doesn't work for you, don't do it.
Yeah.
Do this and do something else instead,
Pretty simple.
right? Mm-hmm. And when a lot of other martial arts teachers, they're like, no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it this way and this how, because if you don't, you're not gonna be good. That's that's just not the way that I operate. So that's why I disagree with that. So, but why they do it? They want to stick with tradition. They want to stick with teaching people what they know. Now, when I started formulating my emulating certain ranking structures and curriculums off of what I was kind of raised on, I came across this same predicament saying, well, you know what? I want to test my students, but I don't want to test them under the same curriculum as I was tested, because the way I was tested, I learned a lot of good, useful stuff later in my training when I should have been learning it earlier in my training.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I told my students literally just last week, I said, hey, look, I want you guys to know, the later you get in my curriculum, okay, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu curriculum, the less useful and the less relevant and the less frequency these techniques are going to be for you.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're highly circumstantial or very scenario based or whatever. You're not gonna. That's why I said that's why you don't see me doing a lot of moves that you don't recognize,
Yep.
because the I put all the most accessible, easier things down in the bottom, and I said, so as you go through the ranks and earn skills and get these attributes going and all these techniques, blah blah blah, right? You're gonna find that you're still resorting to the most basic white belt and blue belt techniques, because those are the ones that are gonna pop on the best and easiest and most effective. And then you're gonna understand exactly what I just told you right now.
Absolutely.
So I'm not afraid to change the structure, right? It was a huge decision for me to tell my students, I'm gonna take katas out of sword class.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take katas away from my aikido class, right? If I had kempo karate katas, I would have taken those out too. And some people didn't like it, and that's totally fine. But then I asked, well, you want to do katas for the weapons classes, but why don't you want to do katas for the empty hand karate classes?
Good plan.
Right? And you just kind of get a blank stare, right? Well, it's just like, well, if you think kata is good, then it should be good all the way around, and we should learn kata in every single martial art, and we should start developing some. If you think kata is that good, so I chose not to do it, but I still want to teach the certain katas because I learned them, and I think some of them are really cool from a contextual standpoint, right? There's some cool katas that I have access to that I'm like, this is really cool, right? It's not relevant to today, okay, but it's really, and I point a couple of them out in the blog, but they're just cool. Pick up a book, read about them, and understand the context of the times in which they were made and developed. And then you get an understanding of the history a little bit. But me, I am not a history buff. I do not care what these samurai went through 400 years ago. I don't care. I think it's cool, some of the things that they developed, and I appreciate and all that stuff. But I'm not a history buff. I don't care where this came from as much, And along those lines, again, it's been touched by man so much that I don't know what's accurate and what's not.
Well, that's the problem.
And there's no way of telling. If Miyamoto Musashi wrote down and signed a book that says these are my katas that I'm creating, in his
name, right? Yeah, yep.
Right. Then I'd be like, oh, these are cool, right? But he's probably one of those people that probably didn't even do many katas. I'm not, he was a fighter. He had dozens and dozens of battles in his name, right? That was his practice.
That's what I don't know,
but right, but you did ask me, well, when does kata actually work, right? When should we do kata?
Right.
And actually, so my guidelines for kata are this. If you're going to practice kata, it's important that we identify and practice exactly what we need to practice.
Right.
And what we're trying to learn. Not just doing motions. If you're just going through motions, you're doing martial arts wrong. You need to know exactly, if I'm going to throw this punch and have a footwork, and I'm going to have a fist this direction, and I'm going to have my arm locked out or not locked out, if I'm going to grab, if I'm going to put my foot here and not here, if I'm going to be turned this way and not this way, if I'm going to be this close or not, if I'm going to evade, if I'm going to do anything, you need to understand why you're doing it.
Exactly.
So that when you're doing it, you can identify and you can reinforce it in your mind and say, oh, okay, right? And then not everybody's going to get everything, right?
No.
Not in one drill.
No.
Little by little, if I keep explaining it and doing it over and over again, just like in a kata, then you're going to pick up on it eventually. And then sometimes I'll be like, I'll just wait for the person to get hit and I say, that's why we move, right? Or I'll wait for them or I'll stop them mid-movement and I'll say, Jackie, push Mike over. And then Jackie pushes Mike over with ease, right? And I say, you see, this is why we put our foot here and not here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we identify those things. But if you're doing a kata, you never get that. You tell them why they're putting their foot there, or you tell them to put their foot there, but you don't tell them why, and they can't experience in real time with tactile feedback what happens if you don't,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the nuances that come with it, and how to adjust. So, any kind of kata, make sure you know exactly what you're doing and why, what the scenario is. Imagine it. If you can't imagine it, then you're not doing anything for you if you're doing it by yourself. And you need to pressure test each sense
Right.
of the movements and the katas that you're doing. So if you're doing two-person kata, right, something prearranged.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, today, partner's going to push. I'm going to move out to the side. I'm going to block. I'm going to do this, blah, 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 right? Then have them try to actually push. Try to have them follow up with something,
Make it
right? So you
realistic.
can verify. Yeah, so you can kind of explore and verify the
Mm-hmm.
weaknesses and the nuances of what's going on.
Why it happened,
so
why it didn't work, what maybe you could change,
Yeah,
just so you challenge
or why
yourself to think about it. Yep.
right, or why it did work.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can become, because if you know
understand.
it works, you can become more confident. You're not
Yep.
going to get that from a kata.
No.
You're going to get what's the word called? You're going to get the wrong kind of confidence.
You're gonna get complacent
from kata.
and stagnant. You're not gonna know, like, it's almost like repetitive to where you're doing you're going through the motions. You're just doing it.
Right.
So
So when I teach gun stuff, when I teach gun courses,
Mhm.
I kind of emphasize the need to practice this stuff. Yeah, just by yourself, right?
Yep.
But I tell people, look, if you're going to practice your drawing, right? I want you to do this. I want you to do all this stuff exactly, kind of like a kata format, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to do X, Y, and Z, right?
Yep.
But just doing it at home by yourself and imagining an attacker at your door is one thing, okay? Having somebody actually with you to pop out or to charge you or to dynamically move, now getting your gun on target in a timely manner, like with the Tooler drill, the 21-foot rule.
Yep.
You're now changing the element of the whole situation, and so you have to. Your imagination can only do so much.
Right.
So having a real partner with you is vital to learning for sure.
Because it adds the stress factor, and it puts time sensitivity of oh shit moment, this is happening. Like, now you can't just imagine it's going on. So
right. So ideal, and if you're not going to do it with a person because you don't have the resources or whatever, that's fine.
It's fair.
But if you're going to do anything with a kata, right, anything kata-esque, which I still advocate for,
sure.
Stand there and say, you know what, I'm going to draw my sword or I'm going to draw my gun. I'm going to turn to the left. I'm gonna take a couple shifts. I'm gonna draw my sword, my gun, whatever it is, right? And I'm going to make sure that when I draw it, it's because I'm doing this, or it's because of this stimuli. Yep. If I'm drawing my gun, it's because of this stimuli. It's because, right? And then, so give yourself a game plan. Give yourself a scenario so you know exactly what the bunkai is, exactly what's going on, so you can visualize it and treat it like a real situation. That is going to be vital to how you do it. The problem with regular katas in most dojos is they don't teach you any of that in the beginning, and they work on it later. Oh, today we're going to go over and we're going to discuss kata. I've had this kata for 3 years, Sensei, and I'm just learning this crap now. That would piss me off, right?
Yep.
So here's an example of good kata, right? SWAT teams, SEAL teams, when they perform katas, right?
Yep.
Here's how they do it. When they're going to clear a room, let's say there's 4 people, they're going to clear a room. They're going room to room. They're going to be clearing. Well, they practice that, right? They practice that.
Yeah, they have to.
Number one opens the door, and number 2 charges in. He looks at one specific corner, right? He has one area to sweep. The person behind him brings up his gun. He has one area to sweep. Right. The last person in, one area to sweep, and they all have to sweep consistently. They all have to be in their own zones. They all have to do their specific thing, just like a kata.
Yep.
And if they don't, during training, they either shoot a partner or they get shot by a perpetrator. So you have to trust each other. That's kind of the biggest thing with SWAT and any teams that clear rooms and compounds and stuff like that, right? Anybody who works together with firearms, they have to trust each other as a team to make sure that they're all doing the right thing. Exactly. If you're in the first position and you forget that you're in the third position, but you're used to being in the first position, and you go in and you sweep the same region that somebody else swept, right? Yep. Then that means you let your team down and potentially missed an attacker, and now everybody's shot, right?
Right. Yep.
So that's a form of kata, but it's real focus-based training. They're all
Sure.
doing it. And if you just have one person, there's a way to sweep the room properly in a specific order, so that you minimize the ability of somebody hiding to actually attack you from a great angle, right? And it gives you a good response time and good angle on them, stuff, all that crap. So that's when kata can be good.
Okay.
Right, but you have to know exactly why you're checking behind the door. You have to know exactly why you're pushing that door against the wall and waiting for that thump. You have to know exactly why you're pointing the gun around a corner and going towards this window or whatever the scenario is, right? Because if you don't know why, you might forget to do it.
And I think that's a lot of why people, like, even traditional kata sense, where we're talking about, like, you know, they do it out of a sense of decency, out of a sense of respect of, it's tradition. If you don't ask it's the same thing even martial arts regular training. If you don't ask what's the relevancy of it, you know, if you're not, because that's part of, we say, the active growing process, you want to understand. And we've done that a few times, I know, in classes where we go through techniques. Why does that work? Or how are you doing it? Break it down as if you're, you know, showing somebody else, you know, try to explain the reasoning, why it works, why it doesn't work, what's the difference. Those are the questions that I think people just sort of either they don't think about, they skip them, or they just maybe don't even think they're relevant. But I think that's why a lot of times there's issues of the getting to the point and they're stagnant because they're not growing, because they're just focused strictly on doing it for the sake of doing it, not challenging why and how and when and where, as we're saying, even like in these tactical situations, it's which is so critical and so crucial. So I can see where that really can cause issues there.
We need context. We need to know what we're doing and why. We can't just
time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they used to do in the past, but that's coming from me. I'm naturally inquisitive and curious.
I am too.
I want if I know what I'm doing and why, I'll do it way better than if you just say, just do it, just trust me. Sorry. I mean, because if I think it's a waste of time, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? So, you know, for me, it's like, I trust you. You're my trainer. I trust you 100%. But if you can't answer a basic question and trust that I can handle the information, and let's say I can't handle the information, I ask you and say, you know what, I'll tell you later, but for now, just do it. Right? Like if by the end of class you don't tell me what we did and why, you know, I might not be able to put any purpose to it. I might just write it off.
Right away.
But if I have something to think about in context, I can think about it later and say, oh, so when that person puts their foot here and I do this, then there we go, right? And they start getting the light bulbs going off and all
everything
that
opens up.
But everybody's a different learner, you know?
That's the thing.
And if you decide to go to a dojo and they do katas there, great, do the katas. I mean, that's the place that you're choosing. I mean, nobody's wrong for doing katas, but just know that somebody made these katas up, right? They could be 20 years old, they could be 200 years old.
You don't know,
right?
Yeah.
And the moment somebody says that these are legit katas, these are credible katas, you just got to look at them and say, well, how old are they?
Yeah.
Right? And be like, well, they're 200 years old. Well, what about katas that are 400 years old? Are they better?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So does age equal better all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Because I don't think so. And then what exactly is the cutoff for when kata was no longer good if it was created? So I mean, I've been doing martial arts for 20 years. That pales in comparison for some people.
Yeah.
But you know, I have a lot of knowledge in my noggin, right? And if I decide to create a kata, that had a lot of good information on it, especially if I told you what it is each step of the way and all that stuff, right? Why would that not be a good thing?
Yeah,
that's right. Because it's 2024 and nobody wants anything to do with anything that isn't ancient all of a sudden. You know, martial arts are meant to evolve. If you want to go back in time and use a sword and think you can take on these swordsmen just because you're learning in the 21st century, good luck. I'm sure they're going to be a lot better than you are. However, if I went back there with a gun, guess what? Evolution, boom, right?
Yeah.
Now, you know, I'd rather go with an advantage.
Sure.
I talk at great lengths about the evolutionary process and how that affects our katas and stuff. But,
Sure.
um, but yeah, we need to just trust our teachers, do what they want us to do. That's fine, but don't
That's
be
key
afraid to
too.
ask questions. And
Oh
when
yeah.
you're running your own school, when you're passing on the art and stuff, if you find honest value in the katas, and you
Mm-hmm.
think that there's no way you're learning this martial art without the kata, right? Then what does that say about the martial art?
That's fair.
What
Yeah.
does that say about your if the kata makes the martial art, what does that say about your teacher?
Exactly.
How if somebody said, Ramsey, you know what, you have there's like 20 katas that you have, and if I don't learn those, I don't think I'm gonna be ever, as good.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, well then I'm failing as a teacher,
Yeah. In
right?
essence.
I'm
Yep.
failing as a teacher.
Yep.
Like, holy crap, right? And then um you consider passing down the information. Okay, I'm going to give you all 20 katas. Start taking notes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now
Yeah.
all you got to do is practice these katas, and you're going to be really good. Really, really.
Mm-hmm.
So there's way more. There's way more to it. We can't just bank all of our information on katas. It's not a reliable form of training.
Right. Yep. Yeah. That's true. Oh, did we lose? Are we out of time already? Hang on a second. Nope. We're still there. Did we lose you connection wise?
I'm here.
Oh, there we go. I couldn't tell. The computer blipped, and I'm like, I know we didn't run out of time. There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think, and that's the thing too. Like, we say this a lot, and this goes for just about anything that we in life, any areas, really and truthfully. But the thing of it is you have to ask those questions. You have to do your own research. Talk about this all the time in regular training too. And I know because I've been in that frame where you were too, where at the time when you train there, you don't ask the questions. You just kind of like blindly follow and go with what's taught to you. The problem there again too is that's going to obviously harm your growth and trying to develop and learn things. But
Absolutely.
I think for people too is, and again, it's going back to, especially in the kata sense, where not saying that, and I believe just from listening to these discussions like internally when we had these, when this was first brought up, because obviously it drew a lot of feedback right away. I think that the misconceptions were that, and again, we weren't saying that these are totally, not necessarily, they're not totally completely worthless. They have a place for some reason, but they shouldn't be as overly glorified as they have been. And, maybe where they were in their place and time. And again, same thing. The authenticity of it. People don't track that. They don't ask that question. Now, I would say, too, for me, that, the katas that could be ancient as far as 200 to 400 years old, going back before firearms and things like that, served a purpose then. But even there could be katas that deal with just, say, guns and other kind of projectile weapons nowadays that are only, maybe 5 or 10 years old. Just because they don't have as much of experience under that wise as far as being around doesn't mean they can't be productive and can't be beneficial. And I think the problem, too, also at the end of the day is we see this in our culture, too, in society. There's so many different interpretations and people have so many difference and variance of opinions that and again, I can't say everybody can be right and wrong. There's just so many that there's no agreement on stuff. When you have these little things like talking about in training and doing that, everybody has to just to develop. And as we say too at the beginning, we mentioned this too, is keeping an open mind of like what we're talking about here. And again, it's not to say that you should obviously question that. And again, if anybody who listens is training there in your own school, maybe you haven't thought about this too. Find out and do research on it. Maybe this is something you haven't considered before. This is just kind of a thought-provoking process to help you, really value, and we say all the time, get the most out of your training, right? So
Right.
I think that's really the key essence there. And, when you break it down at the end of the day, and as I said too, time is precious where you want to focus on those key things. And it's not to say you're wasting times on things that are not relevant or important, but if you don't have a balance or if you are utilizing things you used that analogy earlier, the person that focuses more on the kata than the actual practical training part, who's going to have better success? There's that relevant understanding of you need to be aware of that. You could study it, train it up and down, but in the end, if you want it to be a practical use and things like that, it's not going to happen. Same thing with the understanding of real life scenarios and adding stress to it, because I think that's really the biggest problem is anywhere that a lot of times people, they train to do different things, they're not put in a simulated type of situation. And obviously you don't want to throw yourself in a real life situation, but you want to be as closely relatable as possible so that you know that your reflexes are there. It's kind of like going through the gun range, when they have like those pop out targets to shoot and everything.
Right.
And it's the idea is not to make you trigger happy, but it gives you the sense of something could pop up just that quick. Do you shoot the right target? Do you shoot, they throw like innocent bystanders in, like you're trying to orchestrate a muscle memory of going through, being under pressure of you don't know what's going to come up, who's going to come out, that sort of thing. But at the same time, you also know that going through that, you have a better calibrated mindset of this is more of a practical reality sense of this is what could happen. Not shooting at just plain targets that aren't going to move, and or dummies that maybe are staged a certain way. You want it as closely relatable as possible, and I think for the katas too, it's the same kind of thing. So it really does make sense, and I will say, since reading it, which hopefully you guys will want to read the blog further too, you can get a lot of great information there too. It does pause me to think about it. Now I will say too, my first impression, I wasn't sure how I was going to take it, but the more I thought about it, and the more obviously throughout the classes we talked about it, and as I started reading the blog, I did kind of let myself, because I'm in the same mindset, I wanted to be open-minded. I didn't want to close myself off, and I didn't want to get so narrow to the point of I'm doing myself more harm than good. So I do see the potential there and why things are being said and why you have that set up that way. And again, of course, nobody's ever going to agree 100% naturally. It's just human nature. We can't all get along all the time. Everybody has their own opinions and stuff and formulated. But I think if we had a better understanding of at least interpreting information and making of it our own, I think we would do a lot better and we'd be able to be more productive and get more things accomplished, because at the very least we'd have that sense of seeing the pros, the cons, the lefts, the rights. I think that would really be vital there. There was one other point I was looking at. I just wanted to see if I can find it, because I do have this up here, as I have it just in case. That we talked about, and that you covered. Let me see, where was it here? Hang on a second. I think it was in this right here. So, yeah, this was this is the collective here. So, in a sumerical sense, because if somebody were to say to you, okay, Ramsey, so if you were going to just be straight with me, be upfront, give it to me right down the line here, and I'm going to throw this as a curveball question of, tell me up front, especially as a newer person there, what you're saying with kata. Do I invest it? Should I invest it? How would you encourage me what to do, how to do it if I approached you directly on the street or in your own place of establishment and saying, just to kind of challenge that, what would you say to me as maybe a prospective student? There's been some people coming in inquiring about training that hear these things. How would you not sugarcoat it for them, be honest and upfront, but hope to convey the information, I guess the best way to put it, to them, right, to help them understand, but at the same time, not give them like the answer right away, I guess, too. Like, you want to at least challenge them a bit. How would you do that, I guess, in essence, if I'm phrasing it right?
Yeah, I usually just tell people this stuff by having them answer questions.
Okay. Yeah.
So I try not to challenge people directly.
Okay.
I instead just ask them questions, because people don't want to be told what to believe.
Not a bit.
They have to develop those opinions by themselves.
Yep.
On their own. So how do you do that? Well, you ask them questions,
mm-hmm,
and to a brand new person who's never done anything before, mm-hmm, right? They're gonna be like, well, this doesn't really mean anything to me,
right?
So depending on their experience level, it's going to be a wasted talk. They're going to be like, well, I heard that kata could be good or it isn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have to tell them, unfortunately, it's both good and bad. And I would say, look, like we do a little bit of kata here, but not in a traditional sense. It's going to
Right.
be, well, I want you to just kind of, you know, the kata could be just three movements, or it could just be, or it could be with a partner,
Yeah.
and but save all that solo kata, all the complexities of kata for when you're way down the line, because it's not important to a new person.
Right.
It's not going to be beneficial to training. Just come to class, listen to what I say, um, and practice as best as you can,
Right.
and then go from there. Ask questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's my advice for anybody who's new getting into martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
If they want you to do kata, do it. Right. If you don't want to do the kata, you feel weird about doing it. Maybe you want to get out of your comfort zone.
That's
Well,
true.
that'll do it.
It
Right.
will.
Try doing a big ki, right? Ki, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It
but
will.
but yeah, some instructors are really hell bent on it, and I'm not, and I've never really been keen on it. Instead, I've just kind of been just doing them,
Right.
and I don't like just doing things just because
Just to do it.
anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, I want things to have purpose and
Mm-hmm.
intention, and so if it doesn't have that, you know, with people doing katas every other day, like even in my training, everybody comes in, and I'm like, well, I forgot the kata.
Yeah.
Okay, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so you forgot the kata.
Right.
Did you learn anything?
Yeah.
If you forgot the kata,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you learn anything?
Which is the
Right?
key point. Yep.
And that's the whole point,
Yep.
right? But if I took elements of a kata, right, like one scenario or one portion of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I trained it and drilled it and talked about it
Yep.
and explained the purposes and reasoning behind certain things, then maybe they'd be able to come back to me a week later and say, oh yeah, you went over this concept or this drill or this,
And
right?
it's stuck.
And
Yep.
then that would be so much better.
Oh yeah.
Right? Even if
For
you don't
sure.
remember it, but maybe you'll remember some of that stuff. So,
Yeah.
so the whole memorization thing, yeah, it's just wasted energy,
Right.
if you ask me.
Yeah.
So I should, as a teacher, my job is to show you everything I know
Mm-hmm.
in a way that you can handle it and digest it.
Yeah.
Uh, just relying on my katas to get you to learn is irresponsible as a teacher.
Right. For sure. 100%.
There are some things that I've learned in katas that we never did practically.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of figure out, well, when could I use this, and then I would, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't want my students to spend 20 years figuring that out,
For themselves. Yeah.
right? I don't
Yep.
want them to reinvent the wheel, right?
No.
I don't want to go. I don't like. That's what I'm here for. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm here so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm not going to give you a car with square wheels on it.
Yeah. No, you don't.
And
That's
then-
time
and then-
wasted to
and-
start over. Yeah. No. Yep.
Yeah, and then you're just like, well, thanks for the car, Sensei, but it has square
Square
wheels. How am I
wheels.
supposed to do it? I don't know. Figure it out. You're just gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to tell them, round wheels exist. I'm just going to say, just figure it out. Make the car run smoother.
Mm-hmm.
Make it less, make it better. Make it more efficient.
Yep.
Oh, well, how do I do that? Nope, you have to figure that on your own. Reinvent the wheel.
Yep.
That's what we're here for. I want to
Exactly.
transmit the information, and I want my students to learn
There you go.
faster than ever. And I know it's not a rush. It's a process.
Sure.
But I want my students to understand and learn this stuff
Absolutely.
at a decent pace. I want them to be good,
Mhm.
and I want them, most of all, though, I want them to understand this better than I do.
Right.
I want
Yep.
them to come back to me and say, you know what, I was thinking about this technique, and XYZ I've
Mhm.
thought about.
Yeah.
You know what? I never thought of it that way. Awesome. Now I got something.
Yeah. So there you go.
This,
Yep.
I want my students to think. I don't want them to be just drones that follow my every command and say what I say. right? Do as I do. No, I want you to just be your own martial artist. I want you to do your own thing, create your own style. If you don't think something works, then throw it away.
There you go.
So you know what, Sensei Ramsey, you taught me Shionage, but I never use it. Then don't use it.
Don't use it.
I don't care. I don't care.
But at
right?
least you know you had it and you've done. At least you're knowing that it was there. So
right. How do you know it's not worth anything if you've never tried it? That's why I don't tell people not to do katas. By all means, do your katas. Figure it out on your own if you need them or don't need them. I'm just telling you ahead of time. In the scheme of things, you don't need them. But I want you to work on that on your own. I want you to figure that out on your own because you're going to believe yourself more than you're going to believe anybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
So, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's just I want everybody to just be a good martial artist, and and that's what's going to get passed on, not just some cool looking kata. So another thing that I wanted to talk about was again, a lot of this stuff is in there, but I start to say there's.
Oops! Perfect timing. Hold that thought 1 second. This is it's. I will say this. We don't plan this. Hang on a second. That we'll get Ramsey here. We want to talk about this too. And like I said, this is something I can see if I can actually. Yeah, we gotta wait a couple of minutes. We'll play. Maybe do one more last commercial here. We'll use this. Let me get him back on here. I'll message that. Hang on a second. Let's see. There we go. All right. Like I said, I got multiple things going on through the studios here. Let's see. All right. No, some great points. I really hope you guys are enjoying this. This is, and again, a disclaimer part is this is just information that's coming from where we're coming from, we're sharing from. It doesn't mean it's 100%. You have to take it at face value. You have to do this. You have to do that. This is just an idea of think about the concept a little bit, challenge yourself, question yourself, which we're going to talk to Ramsey to get him his other topic he wanted to cover, which is also in the blog there. And again, we're going to share that information. You can check it out. We wrap up. We'll give you the links for everything, and then we'll kind of cover you guys there too. Remember as well, if you are in the local area, we will give you that too, actually, and I'll have it in. Check us at impulsemartialarts.com there. We'll say this a couple more times at the end. It is located at 3738 Northwood Avenue, Suite A in Easton, PA, 18042. If you are local and nearby, you want to come out and try a class, by all means, feel free to do so. We'd love to see you there. Sometimes the best experiences are the experiences where you actually get it firsthand. So if you really want to see this in action, come check it out and join us there. So we're going to pause here shortly for one more quick break. Then we're going to come back and go over this topic here. We're going to begin to wrap up for the night. Hope you guys are enjoying this episode. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We always love spending time with you guys when we can. Hope you enjoy it just as much. I know we do. And so, of course, it's always a treat when we can be there with you guys as well. So stick around. Stay tuned for more. We're going to wrap up in a little bit, coming back here shortly for more Into the Martial Arts World with Ramsey Veitch. We're talking all kinds of neat information. It's a lot, I know, but I trust me, it will benefit you, and you'll be glad that you know it. Stay tuned for more. Come on back. Don't go away. We'll be right back right after this.
Do what you want, do what you want, do it. Do what you want, do what you want, do it.
Hey audio fans, are you looking for fun and excitement? Have you been searching for that special show? You know, the one complete package you want in a podcast? Then check out the What's Up Bro podcast show and experience what true entertainment is all about. Stay tuned and don't miss the action. Available on your favorite streaming services, including YouTube. Thank you for all your support. And as always, we'll see you at the show.
We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back to the show with more in just a moment. Please stay tuned.
Hey there, do you love podcasts? Are you having difficulty finding the right ones to listen to? Is it frustrating when you're trying to pick that show? You know, the one where everyone must collectively agree on? Like finding a good movie or TV show to watch, do you look for the most jam-packed entertainment that's possible to find in a single episode every week? Then search no more, and welcome to j&j Production Studios. It's our business to provide the best entertainment and information available for you. Whether you're sitting in that comfy chair with your favorite snack and beverage listening live each week, or downloading your favorite show episodes to take with you on the go while you're at work, exercising, or even just to play at night for you to fall asleep to. There's something for everyone, no matter what size, shape, or age you are. Visit www.linktree.com/J_J Production Studios to find all the streaming services where our podcast shows can be found. You can also connect with us on your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook and Twitter. You can join our public Discord server and chat directly with us. But wait, there's more. You can subscribe to our official YouTube channel and be notified every time a new show is broadcast. Wish you could have some studio souvenirs or collectibles? Guess what? You can. Visit the official store where you can purchase items featuring your favorite podcast and show hosts. Would you like to help support us? You can do that by getting your very own exclusive membership on our Patreon account. All proceeds go to help us upgrade our shows, which will only enhance the entertainment provided to you. Thank you so much. We're excited to have you as an audience. Your love and support are always appreciated. We'll see you soon.
Break time is over. We're so glad you stayed tuned. Now back to the action as the show is set to resume.
All right, welcome back, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out there. Apologies, as always. This thing just always seems to cut us off at the worst time. We're getting Ramsey back in here in just a second. I'm trying to time this just right. Where is he at there? Do. Let's, if I can get the, there we go. Alrighty. Should take but a moment. He's usually pretty quick. He's like a gunslinger with there. He just pulls it right out of the holster and jumps right in. Let's get his microphone set up here. There he comes. And then while he pops in, make sure the volume is good. Whoops, that's too much. Too much power there.
Technology.
Yeah, technology's great. Like I said, there's one day we don't use this too much, but we might try to bump that up. So, anyway, just to catch you up, guys, if you're just tuning in, welcome. We were talking to our good friend Ramsey Veitch from Impulse Martial Arts. We're talking about some good topics here. There was one, you got cut off there. You were going to say you wanted to cover from the blog there. So go ahead. I'm sorry, you got cut off there.
No, that's fine. So essentially, like, one of the last points I make was, there's so many katas out there. How do you know which ones are the ones? And if you don't have all of them, do you have enough to become the best martial artist in that category, that martial art?
Good question.
And so like if there's a Kodokan karate and they have 20 katas, just saying numbers here, and then you have Shotokan karate and they have 10 different katas, it's one of those, okay, well, if I don't have both systems katas, maybe I should do both systems, otherwise I won't be good at karate, because they're both karate.
Exactly.
Right? If I don't know all the sword katas that exist, am I going to be good, right?
Questions.
So that's going to lead you to say, well, you know what? Then maybe I should go learn all those katas, right? Well, here's the fun part. You don't have to. Okay, yes, they're different. Sometimes martial arts are different mentalities and stuff, but realistically, going and learning all the katas from every martial art will not make you a good martial artist. It just won't.
Nope.
It just won't. You have to take instruction. You have to learn the martial art. That's what's going to make you a good martial artist, not the individual kata.
Exactly.
So I found out literally recently. I've seen it before, but it's just never like clicked. And in the art of Aikido, I learned 4 Jo staff katas.
Yep.
There's a 9-step, there's a 13-step, there's a 31-step, and a 35-step.
Yep.
I did a whole bunch of research. For one, from my experience working with other Aikidoka, the 13-step has 13 steps to it.
Right.
It's done differently by other martial arts schools. Okay, so that's one thing. Some of them don't even recognize the 9-step.
Yeah.
And most of them don't even recognize the 31 or the 35-step. And I'm like, okay, well, where did mine come from? And how do I know I'm doing? And then, unbeknownst, I discovered that there's a 22-step Jo kata in the art of Aikido that is relatively well known throughout a lot of the Aikido world. But the question is, why didn't I ever get it? Why didn't it get transferred to me? And would I be a better martial artist if I got the 22-step on top of that? Right? Why am I out? Am I missing out on that 22-step kata? And my answer, no.
Yeah.
My answer is no. I'm not missing out on that because anything that kata has should have been taught to me by my teacher, right? And if it wasn't, it is what it is.
Right.
But with all the movements and stuff that there is with a weapon like that, I got a good understanding of it. I don't think learning the 22-step kata today. I might be surprised. I'm very open-minded, right? But it's in the book. What's it called? The Aikido and the Dynamic Sphere.
Sphere, yeah.
Right. That book with like the light green cover on it. Anyways, it's in there. and I can learn it anytime I want. But I don't think it's going to make me a much better martial artist overall, and if I memorize it and do it
Mm-hmm.
perfectly exactly. And then knowing that other schools are practicing the same katas, but they look completely different. Well, who's got the right one?
Yep.
You know, we're
Mm-hmm.
taught it 3 different ways to 3 different people for 3 different lineages.
Yep.
Which one's right? That's the problem. So there's just too much. There's too much stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's wrong with them. Practice with my mates, and
Yep.
just do it real time, real form,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that what I'm doing is good enough. You know, making sure that I can block those punches, making sure I can lift somebody up over my shoulder, making sure I can sweep somebody with the
Yep.
proper form, proper kazushi, all that good stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
yep,
Yeah.
it's the world of kata.
There you go. And I will say this whole experience, and again, I hope you guys will get a chance to go and read it. We're gonna share that link directly for the blog. We're gonna do some promos here there to kind of wrap things there. First of all, thank you Ramsey for being here. Appreciate it as always. We will definitely look forward to another episode again. Hope you guys will too, because it seems to be pretty popular when we get these out there. But you can check that out. The blog is there, impulsemartialarts.com. Again, if you're in the Easton area there in PA, you're welcome to come out, try a class. Make sure you tell them Sam Crow sent you if you heard us talk about it many times. You probably will likely see me there, so you'll have a chance to meet me in person if you come out there. But definitely some good food for thought. And again, maybe you've been training for quite a long time. Maybe you've been considering training. Hopefully this has helped you to skip some of the process to contemplate what you should be looking at. And we've all been there. We've all had that school search where we're trying to find the right place to go, how to get there, and so forth. Hopefully this helps you to get a head start and a jump start on what you want to do there. But and again, the biggest key thing is challenge yourself by asking questions, figuring it out on your own there. Instruction is good. Always follow your instructors and listen to the guidance there. But as you grow through it, make sure you're not afraid to ask those questions to ensure everything is taught and that you're getting the most out of it. And if there's any confusion, that you don't become stagnant or stale because you were afraid to step up there. So, but check it out there, impulsemartialarts.com. You can also, Ramsey mentioned gun tactics training, which you have your certification in. You can teach classes there. Impulse Tactical, is that Impulse-Tactical? How does that, I forget how the website comes out.
Impulse-tactical.com.
So if you want to do some, like, talking about the gun training, like sort of like the SEAL training, things like that, how to handle firearms, you can check that out. Classes are available. You can sign up there as well. What other things we got going on? There's quite a bit going on. Anything specific you want to highlight there while we have the audience's ear here?
I mean, essentially just when you're ready to do martial arts, try it out. Almost every school will teach you how to do it. Or will teach you for free, to give that,
Sure. That's fair, yeah.
to give that, that trial so you know what you're getting into. Mm-hmm. And then, coming up, if you're in the area, we have great guy, Kenny Bigby Jr. coming out. And he's one of my tactical instructors from Indiana, Navy SEAL. And let's see, we just got a bunch of stuff going on.
Check it
we
out.
got another
website.
teacher coming out from Texas. Yep, we got another teacher coming out from Texas, and that's in October. Mm-hmm. So lots of opportunities for people, lots of gun courses, lots of self-defense courses, lots of stuff you can learn. If you want to learn it, I can probably teach it to you.
Sure.
And if I don't think it can be taught to you with our school, then we will send you somewhere else.
Yep.
I mean, it's just the way it is.
But you'll get the honest feedback is there, and you won't sugarcoat anybody, and you want to be genuine. That's a hard thing to find most places. They just want you, so they'll tell you anything. So that's
they'll talk you into a contract and be down with it, and then you can complain about it later. But I
not here.
That's not how we work.
No, not here for sure.
Yeah, come have a good time, learn some stuff, and
and relaxed environment. It's nothing stressful. Just come and have a good time. You get good quality information, and it's a great community, a lot of great folks there. So as well as the kids program too. If you have kids that are interested and want to train there, you can come out with your kids and you can get some training and your kids can get some training. So there's something for everybody there. Of course, you guys can enjoy that. And remember too, we will share it on us too. We have Impulse merchandise there. If you want to get some stuff there, check us out on our link tree. It has the official store. Items are available now. There are some discounts that are coming up as well. Thank you guys, though, for being here. And again, Ramsey, thank you so much. Hope you had a good time. We look forward to meeting again, and we will get a new topic there. We'll dive back into the martial arts world, but we appreciate you sharing your expertise with us.
Cool. You're welcome. Anytime.
And hopefully you guys learned a lot. Hopefully you guys will come back. And again, as always, you can reach out to us if you have further questions. We'll be happy to either tell you or we can get you in touch with Ramsey if you have direct questions. At Impulse there, we can. You can also reach out there. I had it pulled out. Let me get it up there. You can email impulsemartialarts@gmail.com there if you have questions or concerns or you want to just get general information. We can. I would say you don't mind if we share the phone number, but you have it on a personal site that's available for the public anyway. So
right.
You can also call 484-664-8878 and talk to the Sensei himself, and you can get some other great information if you want a little more personal touch to be able to find out any questions he can answer for you there. Check it out today. And of course, you guys, check this out. We'll be back then Saturday night. We'll have a brand new show for you guys. Hope you'll tune in for that. Lots more fun coming up. The summer's winding down, but we have hopefully some other surprises in store we can get out for you guys. And then for Ramsey, too, I will see you this week. I'll be there. We'll be back at it. And again, hopefully we'll see you guys come on out and train with us, try it out, have a good time. Become part of the family if you want to. There's no contract necessary. He will poach you later on and give you the fine print details when you sign up, but that's a whole separate thing. I'm just kidding.
Your blood. You must sign it in blood.
And you have to stay. Your whole soul is for eternity, so it's not just for – there's no sign up there.
There's no turning back. You must hand over the firstborn.
Yeah, and you're in for life, whether you like it or not. And if you bring your kids, your whole family is sucked in. You're stuck there. So
yeah, There's no going back.
No.
So make
we're
just
just
choice of that out.
Exactly. No, we're just kidding. We think if you love it though, you'll want us again because there's a great group of people there. So hopefully you'll come and check it out. But hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care. We'll see you guys again very soon. Again, as always, our pleasure. We love having you guys here. We'll be back with you very, very soon. Mm-hmm. Good night, of course. And as always, for all of us here at J&J Production Studios, until next time, when we see you at the show, take care. See you all very soon.
Thank you for listening to the What's Up Bro show. Catch all the latest live action on your favorite podcast streaming services, including Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more. You can also check out episodes on the studio's official YouTube channel. Subscribe and become a member today. Don't forget to also turn on notifications so you'll know when new content is uploaded. Stay tuned and don't miss a single moment. We love and appreciate all your support. And as always, we will see you at the show.